This is the Bear Country Outdoors Barely a Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Joyce, and with me is James Forsland and Chris Cantrell. Thanks for joining. So here we are. We're back in the podcast room, and we'd like to thank everybody for watching these glorious episodes because they are a whole lot of fun, guys. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you.
We've been having a blast.
Yeah.
This whole spring bear thing has been fun.
Yeah, right. We've had quite a bit to talk about in the last couple weeks.
Tons of stories.
And to start off, let's get going and talking about what's going on in the state commission right now, because there's a whole lot of information that's out there that
Yeah, we haven't really
to touch base on because
we haven't got to really dive too deep into that.
No,
I'm sure a lot of people are aware of the spring bear situation that happened.
Yeah,
but
that's been an ongoing thing.
That's kind of old news with everything that's going on now. The newest thing going on in Washington State is the fact that some of the, I'm just going to call them anti-hunting side of the commission for the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
I'd say that's quite factual.
Yeah.
That's quite accurate.
Yeah.
It is definitely accurate.
Lorna.
They brought
Sorry.
We'll just get it out of the
We
way.
don't need a name drop, guys.
Yeah. There's a couple others.
It actually was Lorna that brought the new conservation / preservation policy forward that she wants to put through that will change the way that they manage fish and wildlife in the state of Washington.
So basically, just to be straightforward, it's just some anti-hunting agenda that they got
going
on.
It's 100%. So Washington Wildlife First, which is an anti-hunting organization, that's been a big player in all of these things that they've been doing, has ties with some of the people on the commission, and they've been working with people on the commission to push some of these policies forward.
So you're saying the commission, they got pockets, these anti-hunting people.
I think 100% Lorna Smith does. I would imagine
there could be a handful of others, but we're not sure.
There's definitely one or two more on the commission that are working that direction, and then there's a couple of them that just seem completely ignorant to me, that you don't know if they're really working that angle or if they're really that ignorant. They could just be,
they just don't care,
woke, ignorant idiots. That's the best way I could put it. I mean, this is our podcast. We can say what we want about them.
Right.
I can't do that in the commission meetings and offend everyone and then just shut them down, because that's not going to do us any good. But this is our podcast.
Which I really wanted to do, and I signed up and then got totally shut down and couldn't get in to speak at the meeting.
Because they knew better.
They probably knew.
Like, oh, this is Chris Cantrell. We can't let him talk.
I was gassed up, dude. I was ready to roll. And couldn't get in. Like I said, I was signed up, and
the blood was boiling.
Well, here's the deal. Like they can get fired up and they can talk all this shit about us as hunters, right? Mm-hmm. And they can take our hunting rights away. And then, like, I think we all would agree that like hunters are like not super like aggressive. We're not the squeaky wheel. We're not going to go throw bricks through your business window, right? Like the Lorna Smiths of the world, which are like the squeaky wheel, right? They're the Karens of the world, and they're loud and they're irritating and they don't make any sense. But they just like they think if they say their feelings louder, that they'll be right, and her feelings are dog shit, like they.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're so right that the fact that I saw a story that someone got killed by a bear, black bear, came up and ate him.
It was in Arizona.
Yeah, in Arizona.
Just happened. There was another one last year that happened as well. And then there's like on a daily we've been seeing.
I swear, like the instances of people having encounters with
the bear encounters are way up.
Just
100%
skyrocketed.
Have you been seeing all the news stories of every day on the news? It's look at this black bear in the middle of Bellevue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's and when I was at my sister's house staying with
the
her
whole
last year in
predator,
Woodinville,
the whole
it's like
predator thing
giant
is
black
just
bears in her
getting
backyard,
out of control, and it's just. Funny circumstances that when we started Bear Country Outdoors, that all the predators just decided to go running rampant.
To tie back to that, so their new GMP, their game management policy that these anti-hunters are trying to put into Washington State Fish and Game, and
these are facts.
These
Chris
are
is
these
looking
are
at his
factual
phone.
statements. I got
Factual statements.
And don't get me wrong, like there's a bunch of good people at Fish and Game. Unfortunately, the commission is trying to take over, and
I call it the rogue commission.
they're totally rogue. So Jay Inslee, who's a total piece of shit again, appointed these people, these anti-hunters. So here's the deal. Let's say, for instance, like let's say I run Coca-Cola, right?
Yeah.
And I go to hire someone, and I ask them, "Oh, what are your qualifications?" And they're like, "Well, I hate soda pop."
Yeah.
And like, okay, I'll hire you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did. Like, these people hate hunting, and they're trying to take it away. So, anyways, they're proposed. I'm gonna get totally fired up, and I freaking hate these people. They're just such.
The introduction.
That's
to
the whole
it
point
is-
of this, Chris.
So
is to
the-
get all fired up.
The initial statement on the introduction pretty much says it all for the actual policy itself.
Yeah. So they have a purpose of the game management.
how many people actually spoke in person there?
There was
we know
quite a
of.
few. I was going to be down there, but because of everything going on with my dad,
Yeah.
he's my dad. If those of you that don't know, my dad has terminal cancer, and this has been just a terrible week. But
yeah.
we're
You're still sticking. You're doing great, dude.
yeah.
You're doing a good job.
So I wasn't able to be down there in person.
And I wanted to be there, and I signed up, and then I got shut down somehow. The internet's made a glitch, apparently.
And I work like a slave, and I'm tired of it.
So, anyways,
But
there's
we're still doing our
We're
part.
still doing this.
If
We're
you go
still
to-
doing our part.
If
to
you go to
let
Washington
everyone
State Fish and Game, this irritates the shit out of me. So you go through the third thing down. It says slightly modified path forward. Slightly. I'm not. This is verbatim.
no.
Slightly modified path forward.
They're just trying to use trick words.
Current
Well, they-
GMP will not be renewed and will be allowed to expire. So that's a slight modification. They're saying we use this. We're literally executing this plan. It's gone. We're going to extirpate this plan from the earth, and then we're going to implement another horseshit plan, because these are the type of people that have literally tried to erase history, so they don't have any concept of past history, and they're going to try and implement a plan that does not work over a plan that has worked for however many years, tens of dozens of years, right?
They want to get rid of the North American model, which is the most successful game management plan in the history of the world, and has continued to be successful and work for almost 100 years. And now we're going to apparently, if they get their way, move forward into a new management plan, which takes into account social values and what hunting, how is perceived in the general public, and take other interest groups' opinions into game management as well, and remove hunters from the landscape to manage wildlife. They want to have alternative methods for managing wildlife as well.
So what James is saying is they're going to read Facebook comments and make policies based on that.
100%. That's, I
Probably.
mean, and they're talking about, when they say other interest groups, they're talking about anti-hunting interest
Like
interest
PETA.
groups. Like, yeah, in
Washington Wildlife,
Yep, exactly.
which is a total crock of horse shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I just want to focus on this one real quick. So this is on Washington State Fish and Game website. Anyone can go to this, look up their new policy declaration here, and it says refined policy topics. Number two, carnivore hunting policy. Carnivore hunting policy, meaning that they want to
Predators.
take all predator hunting out of Washington. So California already did this. They banned cougar hunting, right?
Yep.
So they've already stolen our bear hunt, our spring
They
bear
want to
hunt.
protect wolves for good.
Yeah.
They want to protect mountain lions.
Yeah.
They want to protect
Bears.
Already protecting
Well,
grizzly
bears are
bears.
omnivores. I don't know if you could categorize them as a
Ooh,
carnivore.
good point. Yeah.
Um,
I don't think they know that word, so.
Well, I'm pretty sure all predators are omnivores because they're eating all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I know coyotes eat.
Maybe they'll put deer in
bobcats.
Coyotes eat-
Bobcats.
Did
Will
you
eat
see
anything.
Did you see the video of the deer eating a snake? So maybe they're
That was a video that I showed Chris.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that was. If you haven't
that
seen
was
it,
some crazy shit.
That deer
You haven't seen
identified
it?
as a mountain lion.
Yeah. It was literally chewing on a snake like it was a piece of cud.
Yeah.
I saw the video of the elk chewing on the rabbit, or
Oh yeah.
was it an elk or a deer?
It was an elk, cow elk, and then it was a doe deer, and then the other doe deer that was eating the little birds out of it.
They've been hanging out in Seattle. They identify as predators now.
Sidetracked.
Apparently,
Yeah. So, anyways, they're putting in a new plan. They're trying to basically take in there. By the way, they're saying they're trying to give more power to the commission to make these rules and responsibilities for us hunters, meaning they want to completely take away all of our hunting rights.
They
long
would do
story
it
short, guys. They
in
just
no
want
time
to
at all.
abolish all.
Yeah,
of
they're
it.
just trying to. That's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to stop all hunting in Washington.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people, I don't think fully understand the level that we're at here with this new policy. If this thing goes through, that's it.
We're screwed.
We're screwed unless for some reason Semi-Bird gets into office and then flips that whole commission upside down and tears it all apart. But that's a long shot. And you're talking another probably 2 years down the road before that would even happen.
God, it's just a mess, and there's so unfortunately I don't think they should be appointed by the governor. Number one. Right?
No, they shouldn't be appointed by the governor. Governor,
they should be appointed by us.
Yeah, they should be a voted on position. And
well, that depends.
But here's the deal.
Well,
the way that Washington's been going.
I mean, there has to be some regulation to it.
But they
you
should
can't
be
just go willy nilly and just go.
No, they should have different counties. Like Washington State.
Yeah,
Washington
100%.
State is in general. If you lived here, this is a Republican state, but everyone lives in King County. And all the shitheads live in King County. And if you're a good person, you live in King County, I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not your fault. But there's the vast majority.
In Skycomish, you're part of King County.
Yeah, so
that.
Yeah, good point, Doug.
You're
Thanks.
way the hell out there.
So there's just the bulk of the people live there, and that's where the bulk of the rules are made. And unfortunately, you have again this terrible, terrible governor who's luckily on his way out, and hopefully Bob Ferguson's not on his way in because we'll be screwed if he does.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'd be even probably worse off.
They're putting these people in place that have his ideologies, and this guy is literally like a modern day Hitler. I mean, he's a terrible, terrible person. His thoughts are like garbage. He loves socialism and drugs and the destruction of the United States. That's his platform. Drive through Seattle and look at all the homeless and the drugs, and it's just. I literally drove through there and saw someone shitting the other day. I swear to God, I'm on the freeway sitting in traffic, look over and there's some guy shitting on the side of the freeway, and I'm just like, oh, this is great. Okay, yeah, good job, Jamesley.
No, it's really gross, dude.
Yeah,
and it's basically legalized opiates and
drugs
methamphetamine
everywhere
and stuff like that.
Yeah, they legalized drug use in public here in Washington.
I just saw today that. They legalized graffiti. They will not arrest people for graffiti.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I saw that too.
If you have a business in Seattle and you want to sell it, give me a call at the Cantrell Group. I'd love to help you out.
That a boy.
If you need help with graffiti,
I
don't want to do it.
I got a great pressure washing company.
Don't send me down to Seattle.
Yeah,
I'll go down there. I'll just take this with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I think if no one has heard of the policies, I think it's just
read into it yourself.
You should read into it.
All this stuff is so under the radar unless you're paying attention to it. It seems like too.
Yeah, it's like they're doing the submarine thing, right? Oh look, these guys are,
well, just think about if there wasn't a bunch of whistleblowers like what we're doing and stuff out there putting this in people's faces.
Who would know?
No one would freaking know.
Yeah,
no one would know, and it would just go under the radar.
Because these commissioners aren't hand inviting these people to come out to speak.
No,
their mind.
No, and they're not telling people just willy nilly that. So the crazy thing is, though, is these anti-hunting organizations are in the know.
Oh,
on,
so of course
every single thing that moves forward, and then they are sending out I made a video about Washington Wildlife First and how they sent out these emails, which was a conservation packet and how to discuss the certain points to prove to the commission that this policy should go forward.
Yeah, this is what you should say.
And yeah, it was exactly like it was just like howl.org, but an anti-hunting version of that.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're that organized and that on top of it, and they're actually getting a bunch of people to go there. There's enough whacked out people that are going to these things. to make an impression.
Because they got nothing else better to do.
And think about it, like it's because those people,
the people that actually matter are blue collar folk that have to go to work.
Yeah, and the blue collar folk don't want to drive down to Seattle and sit in a commission meeting. Yeah. They don't want to make a big stink about stuff. They don't want to fight with all these idiots.
Yeah.
But these
it's
people
not worth our time, but it's coming to the point to where we have to.
Yeah, we're at the point now where it's sink or swim. Oh,
the gloves are off.
It's just, I think these people, we're not those people, right? And let me articulate that a little better. I am the kind of guy that, let's say for instance, I don't drink, which I do drink, but if I don't drink, I'm just not going to drink, right? I'm not going to go and try and ban alcohol. And I'm the kind of guy that like say for instance, I didn't hunt. I just wouldn't buy a tag. I wouldn't hunt. I wouldn't try and ban hunting, right?
Right.
And if I didn't like guns, I just wouldn't buy a gun, right? I wouldn't try and take away everyone's firearms because I don't like them, right? So this is the mindset of the people that we're going against, and you gotta really put some thought into this, that these people are not all there, right? Mentally. I mean, there's something sick. There's something wrong with these people that would think that like because they don't like something, no one can have it, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to me as like a guy who wakes up in the morning and goes to work and works hard and wants to, raise a family and do good and fly a flag in his yard and love America and do good things, These people are not those people. These people hate America. They're the type of people that would go and throw bricks through businesses' windows because they saw something on Facebook and
be here.
Yeah, just they get hurt feelings and if so and so gets elected, I'm going to move to Canada. Like
we're bashing these people good today. They need it.
Yeah, like when Joe Biden got elected, I didn't say I'm moving to Canada.
No, that's
like,
true.
He'll be gone. Like and then we'll just keep on keeping on, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to do good, and I'm going to try and be the best person I can be, and but now we got to go and fight these wackadoos about trying to take everything away from us.
I haven't had to fight any. I haven't had any of them threats yet. I must be scared.
You're a big guy, Doug.
They're pointed towards all of us, Doug.
I know they're pointed towards all of us, but I just haven't had any. So,
anyways,
you want to bring some towards me? Feel free, because I'm just going to take it with a grain
of
salt.
The anti-hunting threats.
Yeah. Look up Doug Joyce on Instagram.
Yeah.
Doug Joyce,
give a shit.
Outdoors.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think we need to be involved and be worried about this because they're trying to take everything away, and they do. Everything's like super quiet under the radar, and these people are just. I mean, they're
just being snakes about it.
They go for the kill. I mean, they're not messing around.
Well, we gave them a little piece with the spring bear. We didn't give it to them; they took it, and then now they're just running with it, and they're gonna do as much damage as fast as they can before it all gets set right.
It's just like the gun ban in this state. It's the same thing. Like, and so everyone listening, you need to join and donate to any sort of organization that is going to fight against these people. I mentioned a bunch of firearm organizations before. If you're not a member of HOWL, you need to go to HOWL. If you're not a member of Blood Origins, you need to go to Blood Origins. You need to donate money to these people, and you don't need to be. I'm not saying like $1,000. Give them $5. Everyone's got $5. Don't buy your coffee in the morning.
You can put yourself on a monthly payment thing where they take out like $5-10 a month.
Yeah, just
it helps them.
Everything helps because these people are fighting for our rights. Because we, as sportsmen, all of us typically have day jobs, and we got to go to work, and we got to come home. We got to be dads or mothers or just
Well, none of us are being mothers. But.
Yeah, contributing members of society, whatever you identify as. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's cool,
good point, Jim.
I just think that
but
we're getting shit on,
Yeah.
as hunters and as sportsmen, and we need people to fight for us. And I'm busy, and you're busy, and you're busy, and we all have
we're all busy.
Yeah, Doug's like, I got to work a 12-hour day again today. I'll be late for the podcast. I'm like, hey man, that's what we do because we're hard workers. We don't just sit in front of a computer all day and bitch about things that we don't like at the moment, and
flag people's videos and
This
one guy, he must have taken hours to put together like all these little things on his story he took like every single dead bear post that we ever did.
Really?
Yes. And he
put a PowerPoint together?
Yes, he put like a PowerPoint on his story, and like he put like different captions for each one.
Really?
Like killers and
You know what you should've
murderers
said?
and criminals.
You know what you should have said, Jim? You should have said, "You're hired."
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, do you want to take over the social
Yeah,
media?
you,
account?
you looking for a job? 'Cause-
Yeah, you're looking for a job, guy.
No, but the funny
do a
thing
good
about
job.
it is, as soon as I blocked him and deleted him, all of that stuff was gone. So his whole 2 hours of work was just completely pointless because the second he posted it all, I was just like blocked, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, gosh, man.
And by the way, like I am a killer. Like, I mean, I'm not a murderer because you don't murder people, but like I kill. Obviously, you can see like I kill
You're
a lot of things.
Bonafide soul sent us.
Like, hey, like I don't harvest animals. Like I kill them. I shoot them in the face sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I like.
Which we'll get to. We got one more spring bear story.
Oh,
to
we got a
talk
spring
about.
bear story coming. Yeah, but like I eat a lot of meat, and if I can, I like to eat it. And for all you Sally crybaby bitch faces out there, guess what? Mark Zuckerberg shoots deer. What do you think about that?
Is he really?
Yeah, I swear to God. I was reading about his fight with Elon, and he's like, he started bow hunting, and he's like, I'm only going to eat the meat that I kill. So it's hard to hate the guy now that I know that he's a bow hunter, and he's trying to do it the right way. So all you crybaby panty waste people out there, your king is killing deer. So just
Right. That's
Suck
right.
it.
Suck it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to protest something, why don't you protest social media? Oh, you can't do hate on social media anymore? Ooh. Touche.
Speaking of, I'm shadow
Unless
banned
it's
on Instagram. So if anyone wants to go,
unless it's against hunting, then it's okay.
If anyone listen, if you want to go to any of our social medias on the old Facebook, on
Bring
the
it.
Instagrams, like we'd love some help.
Yeah.
Give us the old thumbs up.
We're almost constantly shadow banned. So if you don't see our stuff, it's because we're shadow banned all the time.
Yeah,
All the
so
time.
I think we got off shadow ban for like 3 days, like we're doing really great. randomly. And then it was like, no, it wasn't even 3 days. It was 24 hours. And then it was just like straight back to shadow ban.
Straight back.
I had to tell James today. I didn't even post anything. They just sent me something like out of the blue.
Just like
Instagram
I
did.
saw-
So for the gun shop, if anyone knows, like the Cantrell Outdoors gun shop, like they literally just sent me a thing. I sent it to James and it's just like, hey, by the way, we're not sharing your stuff because you're. It didn't say shadow ban, but it's just like because you're breaking guidelines. And I'm like, I didn't even post anything. And they
Right.
went back like years.
Yep.
And it was just like, oh, here's a picture of a gun. I'm like, I'm a gun shop. I'm a gun manufacturer.
Gun dealer.
Like I build firearms for law enforcement for shit's sake.
Some of those posts were just like,
they were super dumb.
there's nothing.
Yeah, like
going
my
on with
arrow.
it.
So I had a bunch of Aero Precision lowers stacked up in American flags in the background, and they're just like, America, we don't like that.
Well, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, they told a bunch of Boy Scouts to quit singing the national anthem in D.C. I mean,
God.
it's crazy, guys.
Yeah.
It blows my mind what's going on.
So everything's going to shit. Long story short.
Yeah. So get on the Instas and the Facebook and give us some love because we're struggling all the time.
We could use your help. YouTube's the whole
Yep.
deal.
I feel like, gosh, man, our followers on Instagram and Facebook, like they go up and then they go straight back down. They go up and they go straight back down. I'm like,
What sucks is we have to worry about that stuff because I think it's so dumb. Like
it's all stupid.
it's so dumb.
At least we have real followers instead of like paying like a bunch of people do on the internet and pay for followers and all that.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting sidetracked.
Okay.
Let's jump
What's
stories
new?
here.
We always get sidetracked.
We gave it some time talking about what's going on here in Washington. Now let's change gears here and talk about something fun, some bear hunting.
Some bear hunting.
So I want to talk about real quick before I get sidetracked. Let me get out of this Lorna Smith nonsense. I hate her guts so much. Man, she's just a bad person. There's a guy. His name's Larry Anderson. He's a good dude. Came into the gun shop and was buying some guns, and he had mentioned like, "Hey, you ever going on guided hunts?" And I was like, "No, not really. I'm doing the first one with my dad. My old man's getting old, and all of us are trying to spend more time with our dads because they're getting, like James was saying, like you don't know when their last day is, and so we're doing our best to get out in the outdoors with them and doing stuff. We had James Little Man out in the gun shop the other day shooting Silence 22s. It was a hoot. Anyways, it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And so I booked a hunt to Alberta on a guided hunt, and I was like, yeah, I'm super excited. Although like I'm not like I don't like spending a bunch of money on hunts because I'm like being a guide in the past and just doing it. I'm a DIY kind of guy, right?
Yep.
We all are.
Yep.
So I said, yeah, I booked this hunt. And he goes, oh, well, I have this side business established outdoors. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I book hunts for guys. And I'm like, oh, cool, right on. And he's like, yeah, just kind of like, he buys a gun. I don't really think about it. And then, it was a month later, I made a post on the old Facebooks or something. And he had commented on there.
It must have been a post when you got back that you probably shot something.
It was like, I think it was right before it. It was right before I was going to go. I think maybe it was a gun post or something. I don't know that I got shadow banned for. I don't remember. But it was, he said, hey, man, I got one tag left for the Quinault. And I was like, I'm your guy, And people who know me know that I'm not, and this drives me nuts, by the way, I'm going to get totally sidetracked, but I'm not the kind of guy who says shit on the internet. It's like, oh, I'm going to own this yacht. Or I'm going to buy a helicopter. In 2 years, I'm going to own a helicopter. Those people. That drives me nuts. Don't say shit if you're not going to do it. Drives me freaking bonkers, dude. So he calls me and he's like, hey, so you serious on that tag? And I was like, I said I was. And he's like, well, I got it for like this day and this day. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm going to Alberta. I go, but I said I would buy it. So I go, is there any way you can do it like a couple days after I get back from Alberta? And I haven't cleared this with my wife at all, by the way. And he goes, yeah, I can do it like 4 days after you get back from Alberta, but that's it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'm in. And I'm thinking like I'm going to face fury from my wife because my wife is very understanding, but I need to plan ahead for when she has time off.
Right.
And then...
because you got a kid.
Yeah, I got a kid, and, I got all these businesses that I'm running. I'm like, oh, holy shit, it's going to be a mess, but, business, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's more the wife, right?
Yeah.
To be complete, it's just the wife. Yeah. So, and I asked her, and she's like, yeah, go ahead, have fun. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, if you can set up, like, someone picking the kid up from the bus and dropping her off or whatever, it's okay. And so, luckily, I talked with my mother-in-law. I may or may not have paid her off, whatever,
Long story short, who cares?
I paid her off.
It worked off,
yeah. And
then Chris texts me. He goes, oh, I'm going over on this hunt. I might need someone to film me. And I'm like, I'm in.
Literally. It was like 0.2 seconds. Doug's like, I'm going. And I'm like, no, I'm going to go like, I was originally going to go Friday. I was going to hunt Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? So there's 2 work days in there. And for you regular working Joes like
5,
we are. Yeah, like we have jobs. Like I work 7 days a week. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to get the guys rolling, and then but Doug has like, hey, you don't show up, you get fired kind of job.
Yeah.
So but he takes Friday off, which was awesome. So he worked like 36-hour days, and takes Friday off. And long story short, Larry hooks me up with the last tag, and we have this hunt, and it's like last minute. I mean, it is so rushed.
And well, not to pause Chris on this, but this is a spring bear hunt in Washington.
Yeah.
On the Quinault Indian Reservation. So if anyone can imagine what I just said, if you can imagine what's going to happen, if you go on the res, they're going to do whatever they want.
Pretty much.
So we're going to hunt over a bait. We kind of already figured
they have
that.
their own nation.
Yeah.
So they make their own rules, their own regulations.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Washington State Commission,
Lorna Smith,
whoever,
and all the rest of
the
the
governor, the head of state, period, has nothing to say over what they do. They do whatever they want.
Yeah. And they say, we like bear baiting. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
this is the only way to hunt bears. We got to put bait out.
We have tons of bears.
Yeah,
right?
Tons
because
of them
Washington State has tons and tons of bears.
And I think it's good because it's revenue that they can bring in. And
and to be honest, like, I've never met like a progressive liberal Indian ever.
No.
In Washington, and we have a bunch of tribes around here. like a bunch of tribes.
100%, yep.
And they're just like, hey, we want to work hard, we want to build businesses, and we want to make money. And Jansley's like, hey, I want to give drugs away for free and let homeless people be here, and I want to run this place into the freaking ground because I don't know how to run a business. So thanks, Quinault. You guys are doing awesome. And the rest of the tribes around here, you guys are doing a great job. Yeah. So thanks so much.
They were not impressed by that new proposal for the new policy, by the way.
No, there's not a single tribe because they're not a bunch of freaking idiots. You know?
No,
it'll affect them too.
They just don't have to do as much because they just are like, well, they're just a bunch of crazy white folks, and we make up our own rules.
Freaking Jay. So,
anyways, nice if we could do that. But
long story short, I buy a tag. Larry hooks me up. Thank you, Larry, very much. Great guy, by the way. You guys should look him up. And he's on all the socials. So I called Doug. Doug's like, I'm in. I'm like, all right. I'm like, dude, it's going to be real tight. Like, I'm going to get home. I literally have like a trailer full of dead bears from Alberta.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
just got back from Alberta with a bunch of dead bears, and it's like the next weekend we're going hunting again.
I got 4 days. I just get hammered with work. I literally wash my underwear. Don't even like repack half my stuff.
I called Chris the day before. I'm like, "You ready?" He's like, "I haven't even packed yet." Like, oh boy,
everything's in the wash machine still.
Yeah.
All right, this is how it's gonna be.
Yeah. And then I'm like, "Well, what gun am I gonna bring?" Right. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm gonna do a little James Forsland tribute and break out the 308 because I had, I think I had 3 or 4 SWAT prototype builds.
In the works.
So I had built all these prototypes for the SWAT teams and for their snipers, right? And so they had chose a particular gun with a particular chassis, and I had all these other prototypes.
And a particular round too, right?
Yeah, and so I was like, well, shit, I still got this. And it was more of like a hunting stock because it had like a carbon fiber stock on it. And I was like, this would be perfect to take.
For the style of hunting that we're figuring that we were going to do. It's going to be close range. And
and I just got the new Nosler new Nosler silencer, and
so we're doing some research and development, guys.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen those cans that Nosler just came out with, they are freaking fire.
Sick,
absolutely incredible cans. I put a 30 cal can on there. It's 9.3 ounces, which is freaking lighter than a sandwich.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's so light.
And it's so quiet.
So quiet.
It is so freaking quiet. And I was super excited about it. So anyways, I put a can on there, I get this gun, and I'm like, we haven't got to this yet for the Alberta hunt, but long story short, I had lost my meat, and we'll get into that on a later podcast, which I'm absolutely furious about.
Well, we can talk about this one too because of the reason what you did on this hunt that we're talking about.
So I have this 308, and I choose again. So to back up, I build rifles for the SWAT team, right? And when a SWAT team has an engagement, they have 2 different types of rounds they use. They have an open air, like so. Say for instance, there's a bad guy and he's not in a building; he's out
not shooting through something.
Not shooting through something. So they have an open air round, and then they have a barrier round, like they got to shoot through a car windshield or a window or something like that. And so I'm thinking, like, you know what? I have no meat. I'm going to take a barrier round, and I'm going to shoot a bear in the face. And as you
Headshot.
So
Headshot.
If you guys are watching the video on YouTube, thank you very much. But these 2 skulls, so these were the bears from Alberta that Brandon Flansburgh did for me from Stuff Taxidermy. He did a fantastic job.
They look really good.
He's like a week turnaround, by the way, too. Was incredible.
Yeah.
They look really, really good. And I haven't got that one back yet, and I knew that like maybe it's not going to be so good.
Yeah,
because
you shot in the head.
I shot it in the face. Yeah. So,
but I think with the round that you used, I think it zipped right through it. So I think it's just going to be a little hole.
Yeah. So what I did was Doug saw this. So like you can Google like bear anatomy and skeletal structure, so you can see like exactly where the brain is and I think if you guys had looked at the Bear Country Outdoors page, you'd seen on the story James had posted a bear that my buddy Brent Thiel shot, and he shot a freaking monster bear up in Alberta, and the whole left side of his face had been completely shot off.
Like the bone and everything.
Yeah,
and
it was
the whole
completely gone.
canines.
Yeah, I got
All
hit
the
in
canines,
face
everything.
with
Yeah,
the bullet.
because someone tried to shoot it in the face, but shot it in the front of the face. Well,
Yeah.
that's not going to do us anything,
No.
right? It had been shot in the face a long time ago too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was all healed
It was
over.
all
and-
healed over.
Yeah. So, anyways, their brain cavity's not as big as you would think it is. So, long story short, I am there. I'm Googling, like, okay, when it turns its head, when it articulates, when it moves, and like where I need to put the bullet at, right? So I have their,
Chris was ready.
I was ready. I was so jacked.
He
We
was
did a
so
lot of
ready.
research on this.
Oh,
We had a
100.
lot of time to sit there and figure out
Yeah.
what exactly we had to do. We had it planned out to the T.
So I have a Federal 168 grain barrier round. I'm ready. I got a 308 Win. And this thing shoots lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking like,
And I mean, for what we're shooting at, it's so close.
yeah, we shot 50, 60 yards,
Yeah.
dude. It was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing. And, I think I had a Leupold 3 to 15 power on it, a VX5 HD, which is
all the way in, too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, which
Just
is a sweet scope.
dialed.
Dialed all the way in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mounted another one today, by the way. Sweet scope.
It's a great scope.
It's a really good scope, and so I'm really excited about taking this gun, taking this round, taking this new can over. I never shot anything with that gun. Like I said, it was a prototype for the SWAT team, so I'm like, I just go into the gun shop, yard it off. R&D, let's roll, Doug.
Let's do it.
And so Doug shows up. Doug takes work off on Friday. Thank you, Doug.
You're so welcome.
And we got to roll from here, and we go. So we're in Stanwood, and we roll down around the Sound, right, and then straight over, and we got to go hit the Quinault office.
It's about a 3.5 hour drive if you're doing the speed limit.
Compared to driving to Alberta, it's
Oh,
real
yeah.
nice.
It was real nice.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah.
And so, what was the town that we went?
Aberdeen.
No, where we went to the main, the Quinault place where we got the permit from. I don't remember. Anyways,
I don't remember.
So I had messed up. I made a mistake, and so I called my guy and I said, "Hey, man,
I'll look
like
it up.
I didn't get a film permit because we're, and it was a newer thing, and like could we gotten away with it?
We didn't think about it.
100% we could have gotten away with it, but like that's not how we roll, right? Like
No, we gotta do this right.
Yeah,
It's gonna be on film.
So we drive. It's an hour and a half out of the way or something like that. So we drive up and we go to their main headquarters, and we go in and we're like, hey, we need this film permit. We spoke with this
I
gal.
just gotta look up.
I can't remember that gal's name either. But anyways, we walk in. The receptionist is just freaking sweet as pie, and she's like, "Oh, let me walk you back, hon." And she takes us all the way back. This building's stunning, by the way. This huge, big vaulted ceiling, and she walks us way back to this little office. And there's a gal there, and she's like,
Talola.
"Yeah,
Taholah.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Talola.
Yeah." And
I'm probably saying it wrong, but I'm just
So they have
I'm just
their-
a white man just
They
trying
have
to get
their
right.
own film permit.
yeah, so they're like, "Hey, you got to come in and pay." It's $100. Like it's not-
even the girl was just like kind of like this is
yeah, she's like, "This is kind of new,
is
and we got to
kind
do
of
it."
like
you could tell she felt bad for
yeah,
charging us
it's like
$100.
It felt like a money scheme. Like,
But I was like, you know what?
we're coming to hunt on the res. It's like whatever. We'll pay $100.
Right.
I mean,
As long as
I wanted to be legal. And
yeah,
like,
we
I
wanted
got
to be. We're gonna be legit no matter what.
right. It's
I got
one
no-
thing you have to have it for certain parts of national forest, wilderness areas,
right.
timber companies. That's kind of like a gray area,
Yeah.
which I won't dive too far into that, but we had a lot of timber companies.
you a cop? You a cop?
Be a cop. But
So we
continue on.
So we fill out the paperwork. I have terrible penmanship, by the way, and so I chicken scratch this, and she's just like, you could tell she's just like, you're doing a great job, and I'm like, thanks.
And they were super nice, and
Oh, she was
no problems. Just like here, hand over the money, just sign here, and here's your paperwork.
She
and
was so sweet, and we were literally like in and out in no
Yeah.
time. So the gal, I can't remember what her name is.
I don't remember. What her name
Anyways, long story short, both those gals at the Quinault main Indian reservation like headquarters, just sweet as can be. Like I would hunt there 100 times in a row. Like I'm going to go back next year.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back.
They're great people.
Yeah,
100%. Everyone that we met on that reservation was
so
awesome.
let's roll into. So we go. We pull into our campsite. I drag the trailer over. Doug's behind me in his pickup.
And not only did we have to go all the way out to Lola, but I'm probably still butchering it, but whatever. We had to go all the way out to the coast to do this. And then to meet up with our guide, we had to drive, what was it, like another like half hour, 45 minutes from there, all the way back across the Indian res.
I think it was it was probably close to an hour on that road, dude. Because that
Really?
road was rough.
It was a really rough road. And
With a trailer, it was rough.
Yeah, and we were like hauling ass because we were trying to get there
Yeah.
to meet up with the guide, but we had to like,
Yeah.
pull up into the camp because Chris had his trailer with him, so we had to stop
Yeah.
and unload the trailer before we did anything, and we're just like trying to get there as fast as we could. We're hauling ass. I'm like literally felt like I was jumping across the road, and I'm looking at Chris's trailer thinking like, oh my gosh, I hope he doesn't flip this thing over because we're just hauling ass down this crazy road.
We were motoring.
We were motoring.
It was but the problem was the road was very like not potholey, but like
It's just like rolly.
100% rolly,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, anyways, long story short, we get out there. I'm super excited. Doug and I hop.
We were
in my-
super jacked. We just wanted to get there.
Yes.
We didn't care what the road was like.
So we hop in my pickup. Doug and I unhook the trailer, and we literally go right across the highway from where we're camping, and we meet this guy in an abandoned gas station parking lot. And we roll up. I have no idea who this guy is.
And he was already there.
And
too.
I have-
like we're like, what are we looking for? Like, do we know who we're gonna meet? And we're like, we have no idea. We drive over there, and there's one vehicle parked over there. And we're like, well, I guess this is him. And Chris just drives over to that car. And it just so happens to be the guide.
I'm like, hey, are you? And he's like,
Oh, hey.
how you doing? I'm like, so you're? He's like, yeah. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, I'm Chris. How you doing? And so we hop out, exchange pleasantries. I give him the money for the hunt, like right there in this abandoned gas station
Yeah.
parking lot, which was hilarious. I'm like, I'm just doing a drug deal, nothing to see here. Like I tell Doug, I'm like, open up the console. I pull out this wad of cash and just give him all this money, and I'm like, I guess we're hunting now. And
He's like, I got your tag for you. I was like, sure.
And it was because we had. I mean, this was such a last minute thing. I had no idea what to expect.
We had zero expectations.
Yeah, and
Zero.
as soon as I pulled up to this guy and he's sitting in a Ford Ranger, I'm like, this is my guy. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, you guys want to follow me to the bait site? I literally, like, I meet him, I get out, I hand him money,
Yeah.
I get back in the
It
truck.
was
he's-
that quick. Just,
yeah, and he's like, follow me, we're hunting. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we go, and he drives. This guy's 78 years old, and he is like,
Yeah, if you're gonna go on a Indian res type of hunt and you're going with an Indian guide, you better be ready to haul ass.
dude, he
Put
just
their
goes
foot down.
literally, he goes ripping out of the parking lot, and I'm like, oh shit, I better go, And I follow him, and we go, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes away, like down this road, and we hang a right, and then we could hang another right, and we go on this dirt road. It's a pretty nice freaking dirt road, but
And it's straight. These gravel roads are straight.
I've never
Really?
seen a more straight gravel
There's-
road in my life.
They don't turn.
Weird.
They just, when they blow their roads into the woods, they just
Straight.
straight.
perfectly straight.
Straight. Just
I mean, like horror movie straight.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like you could see forever.
through the thickest shit possible, just straight through it. Yeah.
Wow.
And he's just ripping, and we get down. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go in and bait this," and then you pull in. I'm like, "All right." And again, like I'm not a guided hunt guy.
We had
right?
no idea what we were getting ourselves in for.
And I'm just coming off this Alberta hunt, which we'll get into again, highs and lows. So I'm like, all right, but this guy is just, I love this guy. I love the.
there was a good feeling. Like
There's
right
a
off
great
the-
feeling
right off the gate.
Like right off the gate, I'm like,
It's probably just good vibes. Like you just knew he was a good dude.
yeah, he's just a
well,
good
I mean,
dude.
not only just that, is like we knew that we were on a spring bear hunt in Washington, and it was
That was-
probably going to be over a bait.
That
Like,
was a
we
that
knew
was a
that
good
we
feeling.
were doing something
Yeah.
that no one else is doing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it started good with Larry, right? Because
Yeah.
he was a great dude.
Yeah,
And then we meet the guide, Carl, great guy.
exactly.
And then we get out there, and he's like, "Yeah, just pull in." So, long story short, we get in there, we sit on this, and it's overbait. And so we park the truck, walk in, sit in the blind, and it's hilarious because Doug's like bigger than me, and I'm a giant human being, and I'm like sitting in there, and we're just like sitting in this blind, and we're just like this two big smelly,
dudes in a
sweaty
blind.
dudes. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I'm like my chair is cocked so I can kind of shoot, and he's setting the camera up on a tripod, and there's like we're in this like like mossy oak type pop up blind, and I'm just like I'm sitting in there. I'm like, we got to sit in there here for like 5-6 hours. I'm like, holy crap! Like, here we go, Doug. So
Two big boys in a blind.
oh, dude, yeah, we got a solid almost 600 pounds sitting in this blind, right? So we're sitting in there, and long story short, nothing happens that first night. So we roll out, and the guide's waiting
Nothing
for us.
but a lot of birds eating the bait.
Yeah, a bunch of birds eating the bait. No bear
Yeah.
comes in, and I'm like, but the guy's waiting for us, right? And he's like, "You see anything?" I was like, "Nah." He's like, well, we'll get a bait up tomorrow. There's a good bear coming in.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was sitting there waiting for us.
Yeah.
He was sitting there waiting for us every night.
So we
Really?
yeah.
Every night we came out, he was sitting there waiting for us to come out.
yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So we
He's
roll
making sure.
back to
Yeah.
the trailer, and
You
I'm
guys are
like,
good.
so how does this work? Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, come back and you get in the blind at 3 p.m, and then you just sit till dark, right? Which is like almost 10 o'clock, I think. I mean, it's pretty late.
Yeah, 10
Nine-
o'clock was like dark.
Dark, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was probably 9:30 was like the bare minimum for light.
right.
Like 9 o'clock was probably shooting light, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you're about because I think like sunset was like 9:10, and we can shoot a half an
Yeah.
hour afterwards. But camera
Yeah.
light was the
Yeah,
biggest thing,
right,
right? Because
exactly,
we're trying to film, right?
And it's super thick, so it's going to be a lot darker.
Yeah,
that
that timber
was a tree.
looked dark.
It was super dark, dude.
So we go back to the trailer and have a cocktail and eat some food and go to bed, and we wake up, and then this is what I like about, like, again, I'm not a guided hunt guy, right? And usually when I spring bear hunt, like, we get up at the dark 30, you go out, you hunt all day, you come back at dark, you crash, you sleep for a couple hours, go out, and it's just, I mean, it's literally by the end of
This is how I feel like hunting all the time. This was like completely different.
it was
realm.
totally, because usually at the end of a hunt, like even if it's a 3 or 4 day hunt, when I get done, I'm hammered dog shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
come home and my wife's like, "How's your hunt?" I'm like, "Don't talk to me." Like, I just want to go lay down and sleep for a week, right?
right.
And we get up and I brought a bunch of like Power Llama Black Rifle coffee, and I brought my espresso machine.
We slept in.
Oh yeah, and
we
we're
ate
making
some
coffee.
food, Yeah. just
like a 6-course breakfast.
Snoozed around and didn't do a whole
That
lot.
sounds awesome.
Right.
Oh, and so I brought the trailer too,
And
right?
we're like, I feel like we're not doing anything. We need to like
Oh man, I would be
do
hard.
something with ourselves. And they're like, let's see if what the guide wants to do. It's like, oh yeah, or you go back out there about 4 o'clock. And I'm like, what the hell are we gonna do all day?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know what we're going to do, Doug. We're going to watch Letterkenny all day. So people who don't know me, you should know that I am a huge Letterkenny fan.
Huge.
I freaking love that show.
If you go hunting with Chris, get ready to watch some Letterkenny.
You gotta watch
it's gonna be your
Letterkenny.
new favorite show, guys.
In hunting camp, we're watching Letterkenny. I can't watch it at home because my kid, right?
Yeah.
My daughter's 8. She can't watch that stuff. Like, it's all fart jokes and so you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So when I go to hunting camp and I'm sitting there
That's all it is fart jokes. And
all day, it's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So if you've never watched Letterkenny, get on the Hulus. It's on there.
Check it out.
They should start writing you a check for all the people you've turned on to Letterkenny.
Dude, seriously.
Like you turned me onto it. And
Mhm.
Now Doug's doomed for life.
I've
with
heard about
Letterkenny.
it, but I never like dabbled in it. And then Chris turned it on, and I was sucked in immediately.
Yeah, you hear that,
it's
Jared?
so funny.
Yeah. Send me the checks, bro. Or maybe we hang out and play some hockey.
Maybe just send us like some great box sets of Letterkenny.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we have some cocktails. I don't know. A couple
Yeah.
Gus and brews, whatever.
There you go.
A custom Bruce.
So
Yeah.
Come on to the podcast.
so we do the same.
We'll have some horn talk.
we sit there all day. It's great. It's very relaxing. We got our feet up, just sitting there fat and happy. and we go out again.
And then we go and sit in the blind and do the same thing.
Same
for
exact thing.
6
Second
hours.
night, no bears. And we come back. But the thing is, like, we're 2 days in. I'm having a really good time for seeing no bears. Like, the guy is great.
Yeah.
I feel like he's working hard and to kind of back up a little bit. Larry, who set this hunt up, could have never texted me, could have never called me, could have been done with it. He was texting me and calling me constantly during the whole hunt,
Asking what was going on.
How's it going? How you doing? You seen any bears? How's the guy?
He was definitely bird dogging the whole time.
Dude, the
we were
whole
there.
time.
Yeah.
The whole he worked so freaking hard, and the reason I feel like this is so important is you'll hear it on a later episode when Matt Russell comes back, but we're going to talk about our Alberta hunt, and like I said, there were some highs and some lows, and we're going to really touch on those lows because there was a bunch of stuff you guys haven't heard, but to touch on the highs of this Quinault hunt,
guys, but whatever.
like Larry did an incredible job.
I wasn't even hunting, and I was definitely impressed.
You know, in a guy who runs multiple businesses and has multiple employees, I'm like, you know what, this guy is a freaking.
He's going above and beyond.
100%.
Just for you.
Yeah, I'm one guy.
You wanted to make sure that you had a good experience and that you were going to be successful.
100%. That was the feeling the whole time we were there. Like, you knew that it was going to happen. Like, we didn't see anything, but as hunters, we knew that these situations happen like that. You know, it's like you can see literally nothing for days on end, and all of a sudden, bam, it happens. And this is an exact thing that happened.
Yeah. So day 3, so this is Sunday, right? Doug's there. Doug has to go home because he's got to work on Monday.
I'm leaving Sunday night.
And
so you guys know, and I toughed it out, and
Doug's
I hunted
grinding it out.
Yeah,
I'm grinding it out. And I'm leaving late Sunday night. Doesn't matter.
And I
Not
was
gonna
gonna
sleep.
Not gonna sleep.
I was gonna stay, and I was gonna sell film on Monday. And my wife calls me and goes, "Hey." So my mother-in-law is watching my kid because my wife works, Monday through Friday, and she goes, "Hey, my mom had a fall and hurt her back," and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good," because she's watching my kid.
Yeah. Well, it's also not good.
Yeah, and I'm like,
It's not good, period.
What does that mean? And she goes, well, she finally went to the doctor and she got x-rays and she broke her back. And I'm like, are you shitting me? Yeah, like literally like fractured one of her vertebrae. I'm like, God. And coming from a guy who's literally crushed his spinal cord, I'm like,
yeah, you know the feeling.
I'm like, so
That's
how bad
not
is it,
good,
right? Because
yeah.
there's multiple levels. Like I have Harrington rights. Like I exploded my spinal cord. Luckily, I'm able to walk and do all the things that I do. But like, I mean, I was in a wheelchair for a while, so I'm like, I freak out when people tell me back injuries. So I'm like, oh my God, like, do I need to come home right now? I will. Like, what happened? And she's like, no, it's not bad. Like, she doesn't need surgery, no, like major things, but she can't do anything for a while. But she's laid up in bed, like she can't take care of the kid. So you need to come home. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, when do I need to be home? And she's like, well, because this is Saturday or Sunday. She tells me like Sunday.
By the way, Chris hit this very well.
She tells me like
You didn't tell me shit about that.
We're getting ready to go. It's Sunday, like midday.
Chris is like, I'm going bear hunting.
Well, we're getting ready to go on the hunt,
They
right?
can figure it out.
And I'm like, if I leave this very second, or how bad is it, or whatever. And my mother-in-law texts me. She's like, oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, she's like, it's not that bad. And I'm like,
sorry, Chris.
I know. I'm kind of freaking out. And I'm like, but my mother-in-law tells me it's not that bad. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll come home Monday morning.
Regardless, we're still thinking of you guys.
Regardless, yeah. I'm gonna take care of it. So we go out, and Larry's texting me, the guy who set it up, right?
And on day 3, we're sitting in a different spot.
Yeah, he goes, hey, I called around, and I got a guy who's going to help out. So this is another outfitter, right? Not the guy that we're with, a different guy. And he goes,
that was kind of interesting, that whole situation. Like, he was like, I'm going to call around.
yeah.
But then it ended up being like,
It was
the
his
guide that we hunted with, it was his brother.
but it wasn't his bait.
No.
It wasn't his bait, right? So Larry calls in all these favors. I don't know what he's doing on the back end.
Yeah,
but
there must be a big phone call talk thing like behind closed doors that
he's putting in work though.
He's
right?
definitely putting in
he's
work.
putting in some
because
freaking
regardless
work,
of the fact,
and I appreciate the shit out of that
100%.
because like it's coming from a hunt that was like not that right, and coming into a hunt where like this guy is busting his ass. I mean, we're on day 3 of this hunt, and he sets up this other stuff, and we go in. And I really like the new setup. Like we walk in a little bit farther, which I like because I like being farther away from the truck.
It's further off the beaten path.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the blind is really tucked in nicely. It's farther away from the bait, and which I'm more comfortable with.
Better setup.
And so we get set up, and long story short, he shows me a picture of this bear that's on this bait, and I'm gonna estimate this bear at probably tapes out at like 6'8". It's a big bear. It's a smasher bear. And he shows me the picture of this bear, and I'm like,
it's probably 7 foot.
That's a big bear.
It
was a big bear.
It was standing up with its arms locked out on a 55-gallon drum, which is at least 4 foot tall.
It was huge, dude.
Yeah. He's in the high 6s.
It was a big bear, and I saw it, and let's be honest, guys, if you've ever been to the museum, I've shot some small bears, right? And I still shoot small bears.
Yeah.
And I've shot, I don't know how many bears I've shot, 15 bears or whatever. Like I'm no Jim, but
you're catching up quick.
I'm doing some work right now.
You've definitely
made a big stride here this year.
Big strides this year, guy.
In the home stretch. So I'm just like, holy shit! Like I want to shoot that bear so bad. And so he's like, we're gonna put you on this bait. But it's like, in my mind, I'm like, this is it. Like, and like, here's the deal. When I come home, and I didn't come home from Alberta with tag soup, but I came home from Alberta with tag freaking soup because I went there for meat. And these guys, and I'm not going to bash on the Alberta guys just yet, but the thing was.
It's coming.
It's coming for sure.
Stay tuned.
But the thing was, they were shocked that we wanted to bring meat home. Because guys just go
Which
up there.
shocks me.
And it totally shocks me. It's not like, and that's why I'm not going to bash them, is because it's not, they're an outfitter that has done this for a long time, and that's just not what people do. And so they're not used to it.
Bizarre to me.
But the thing is, like, I hunt to eat, right? Like, I'm just not like, there's a reason I don't duck hunt anymore because I think ducks taste like shit, right? There's a reason I have a huge wall of deer behind me because I love eating deer, and there's a bunch of reasons I've shot a ton of elk.
Deculent.
Yeah, because I've shot
good.
I've shot a bunch of elk because they taste delicious, and there's a reason I shoot bears because I think bears are freaking delicious, right?
Yeah.
They taste really good. Like if you've never had a rack of bear ribs,
they're part of the swine family.
Yeah, bear ribs are freaking delicious. I was just telling James, I watched a video of a guy, the Bearded Butchers, and they were doing a thing called deer bacon, and I was like, dude, how good would bear bacon be?
Oh, dude.
And it was just, anyways, we'll get into that. We got a bunch of content coming for you that. So anyways, back to the story. Here we go. Day 3.
This is where all the
you get to the blind. It's a nice.
It's a new
setup.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was cool because
2 days we're like, oh yeah, this is what it's gonna be like. And after the first day, we went back in there another day, and something had hit it because the entire bait was completely gone the second day we went in.
It could have been there in the morning for all you guys.
It could have been in there in the morning. It could have been there in the night. We just don't know because. He didn't have a camera set up, and I was kind of disappointed on that, but whatever.
Yeah, learned a lesson.
We learned a lesson on, exactly.
I should have brought my own cameras. That's my fault, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I got a whole pile of Spy Point, like, cellular cameras that we could have put in, and we could have been getting,
Was there cell service out there?
A little
hit
bit.
and miss. That last spot that we went to, there was some, but it was like... I
think we probably could have got pictures, though. I think
so, yeah.
Because where we're at here, like, I don't have incredible service, and I got cameras tucked into the woods, and I get pictures all the time. Yeah. So we got third day, we go out. This is after all the nonsense. My mother-in-law hurts herself. My wife's like, "You got to come home." And by the way, my wife never tells me to come home ever. Like, and I go hunting months at a time, in different states and different countries. Never, ever, ever, ever has she asked me to come home. So I'm like, oh shit, this must be bad. I gotta get home.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever. In my mind, I'm like, whatever walks in, it's catching a bullet.
Sunday night,
Yeah.
whatever happens, it's happening.
It's catching a bullet in the face.
Yeah.
If a 50-pound bear walks in, bullet in the face. 500-pound bear, bullet in the face. Don't care. Don't discriminate, right?
Right.
Love is love, guys.
Love is
All right?
love. And
So-
we made a plan. It was like, Chris, you got to wait till the bear stands on top of the barrel,
Yeah.
and then you make it happen.
So Doug's doing some
I'm doing all the camera work
he's
here.
doing all the camera work, and he's got a
Or-
GoPro, he's got a cell phone, he's got the big camera, and he's running everything, and he's like, all right, this is what we're
We're
gonna do.
doing the Hollywood shit, guys.
Yeah, he's doing it. By the way,
it's-
we just watched a little bit of it. Doug did a really good
It-
job.
it's
I can't wait
glorious.
for you guys to see it.
It's got the
It's still
million,
in the
it's-
rough, but it's looking good.
It's-
got the $1 million kill shot.
It's not like the podcast. Got to cut my swears out, right? So we're sitting in this blind. I'm super excited, and we switch spots, right? So how this blind set up? Usually I'm on the left, Doug's on the right. Now he's on the left, and I'm on the right.
Yeah, we swapped that day.
Yep. So I got my rifle set in a tripod in a gun saddle, just locked in, right? So it's sitting there, and I try to bring. So in the blind, it has this like kind of like a mesh type. You can see through really well, but it's probably like 18 inches top to bottom, and it's got slits in it. So I don't want to stick my gun through this slit, even though we're like 60 yards away from the bait.
Yeah.
Like I don't want the bear to walk in and look over and see this giant black can
see
sticking
this
through.
barrel sticking out the
So
blind.
I got it tucked
Yeah,
back,
tucked it back in there. Yeah.
and I'm sitting way back in the back of the blind, so I can still shoulder the gun. I feel comfortable, and we've ran through the scenario multiple times, like I'm going to shoot, and so we're ready. Doug's got the camera ready. I mean, we've walked through the process mentally. Like as soon as the bear comes
For
in,
the third day, we've been doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're just like
Running scenarios.
We're ready to go. Like
Yeah.
whenever it's gonna happen, I got the camera ready. All I gotta do is flip it on, press their button, and it's what I swear it was like 8:30, and me and Chris were just like joking around, and all of a sudden he's like bear, and I'm like, I'm looking out the window at the same place that he's looking. I don't see shit.
Yeah.
And I look at him, and
probably
he's got
a different angle.
he's got this big old shit-eating grin on his face, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, no, there's a bear." And it just so happens that the road that we were looking down, as soon as you get to the bait pile, it takes a left, right?
Oh, okay.
So the road, it goes down to the bait, and then it hangs a left. Well, that bear had walked up that road, and because Chris was sitting on the right of me, he saw it just before I could like see it in my like at all.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I flipped the camera on just like out of shits and grins, and I looked over and he's got this big old smile on his face.
well, because we're telling jokes.
I
Yeah.
think he's like giving me shit. I'm like, "What bear? I don't see no bear." And he's like, "Oh, it disappeared. Oh, there it is. There it is." And immediately I pressed the record button without even like looking out of the blind. I just
Yeah.
like pressed the record button, and I caught the bear just coming into frame.
Oh, nice.
Like immediately. Like as soon
That's
as
a
I
pro tip. Always hits the record button.
Yeah, because you could always,
It's-
you don't know.
You
I mean,
don't
yeah.
want to miss it.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss it. So I was like, that was what I was there for. I'm getting on this thing. And as soon as I hit the record button, the bear pops into frame, and I'm like, oh shit, this is where it's gonna happen. And I move the camera to adjust it to where it's like right on the bait, because I know the bear is going right to it. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, hold my beer, and I pull out my phone, and I'm like, I gotta get Chris on camera here in the blind, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working two cameras, and Chris is like, I'm getting ready, and I'm in my mind, I know Chris wants to pull the trigger like immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait. It's like, we talked about this. Just wait, just a little bit longer, because we know that the bear is going to just do what we want it to do. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a whole ruckus, but something must have happened because that bear looked like into our souls.
100%.
100%. And we're like, oh shit.
And I almost.
I
I'm
felt
surprised
it.
because I've watched the footage and I thought when
I
it
swear-
gave you guys the look, I was waiting for Chris to just be like,
Either way, it wouldn't have mattered if you would have shot it right there.
Yeah.
no.
We would have had it, on camera. But in my mind, from what we talked about, we must have been. He must have had that in the back of my head. Like, just wait a little bit longer.
We were Elon Musk, mental
Communicating
linked,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
I had the chip in, you had the chip in.
Yeah.
So Doug and I had both talked about hey,
We sat there a couple nights and we had a lot of long, boring conversations because we didn't see anything but birds eating the bait.
if we could get a bear that gets up on the barrel and is because they put bait on top of the barrel, right?
Yeah.
And there's bait in the barrel, but there's bait on top of these 55-gallon drums.
And I think because they do that, it's just to help with the aromatics to get out.
Right. And I was like, if a bear gets up on there, and then it would be perfect for me to just right in the side of the head, right?
Yep.
And it just lights out, right?
Yep.
So here's the deal. If I'm going to die, hopefully I don't for a long time, knock on wood. I would love to get shot in the head, instant lights out, right?
Done.
Because that's it. It's 1 minute you're eating donuts, next minute, boop, lights out, right? That's
Yeah.
it. There's zero track job. You got to track it from the sky to the ground. That's it.
Yep.
So it comes in, Doug and I are yucking it up, right? And I tell a fart joke or something, or say something funny from Letterkenny, and he's laughing. He's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, bear. And the bear hears him laughing, right? And I'm laughing at the same time.
It must have stopped, right?
Yeah, and it stops, and it goes back in the woods, or not the woods, like Doug said, the road bends around to the left.
It turns around and it's so thick you can't see.
See anything. And I'm like, oh, big bear, big bear, big bear. And this is the same spot where the guy showed me the picture of this giant bear. And so, long story short, the bear comes back in, and I'm like, oh, it's a good bear, it's a good bear. And anyone who's bear hunted knows you cannot judge a bear for shit at any distance, because you need there's a bunch of telltale signs. Don't get me wrong.
I think you said it wasn't a big bear, but you were gonna shoot it anyway because we
Yeah,
knew this was
and as soon as it took
It was still a good bear.
well, as soon as it took 3 steps, and you can tell how a big bear walks. I'm like, it's not a big bear, but I'm gonna shoot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shoot in the first.
Yeah.
And it gets up to the barrel, and it's in between this. A big bear will be above the top of the barrel, right? And this is in between the second, third. I'm like, it's not a big bear.
The back was right close to the top of
It
the
was,
barrel.
it's you'll see it on the video when it comes out.
You'll see it in the footage.
But I'm just either way, I'm not eating tag soup. I want some bear meat. I got the Green Mountain Grill out there, and we're gonna smoke a whole front shoulder, and I don't give a crap. We're doing it right, and I want some meat.
So good.
So this bear comes in, and I could feel Doug. Doug instantly, boop, he's on the camera. Camera's going. I know he pulls it. I can see in my periphery. I see the iPhone going, and I'm on the gun, and I am freaking rock steady. And this bear comes in, and it's a little wary. It's kind of doing the thing. And then it stops and it looks at us, and I pull down, and bears have these itty tiny.
Looked into our soul.
Yeah, these itty bitty eyes, right? And it's looking
straight at the blind,
straight at us, not
100%.
at the blind. He's looking into me,
into the blind. He's not looking at the blind. He's looking into the blind.
Yeah,
so you're probably thinking, should I pull the trigger? Is this thing gonna turn and blow out?
100%. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, he's gonna shoot, but at the same time, just wait.
Well, because we had this plan, right? Doug and I both had this plan.
We had this plan. We had
how I was going to shoot it when he got up on top of the barrel, and I was going to shoot into the side of the head, and it's looking right at me, and I was like, I could have shot it right in the top of the skull, and I didn't. For some reason, I didn't pull the trigger. So the bear, there's a log kind of sticking into into this hole in the side of the barrel, and there's a bunch of donuts and all sorts of shit topped on the top of the barrel,
like oats and donuts, and
all sorts,
cinnamon. And
dude,
chocolate.
I would have totally gone down there and eat a bunch of
the whole
donuts,
whole kitchen sink was.
And this bear kind of
Chris is digging through the donuts.
Oh, dude, seriously,
Maple bar,
pulling them out of the dead bear's mouth. I was like, I'm eating this donut. Freaking love an old fashioned, by the way. And so he kind of walks over to this log. So he looks at us, and then he does log going up, and he kind of steps on this log and gets up on top of the barrel. And I'm like, it's go time.
And Chris is like, "Are you on him?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah."
And as soon as he steps up on top of the barrel, right? So he's got his 2 front paws in the barrel, and he reaches down,
And he's literally about to take one bite.
No, he picks up a donut with his mouth.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Right. He picks up a donut like an old fashioned. That son of a bitch, because he knows I love old fashions. And he picks it up, and his mouth is like slightly sideways, like his head's cocked. And he grabs this donut, and I let him get about 2 inches up, and I freaking unload on his face. And I am ready. Like, I know exactly where his brain pan is at, and I got a 308 168 grain barrier piercing son of a bitch and I let loose, and I hit this bear perfectly, center punched him in the brain, and he falls from the top of the barrel to the ground, and that
Like a sack of potatoes.
like a sack of freaking potatoes, man.
There was no movement whatsoever.
It was out.
I mean, instant death. And it again, I have this Nosler super freaking quiet can on the front of my gun. He heard nothing. I mean, he's like, donut dead.
And the donut landed on top of his lap, by the way.
Literally. Like,
The donut that he was about to eat literally landed on top of his lap when he hit the ground.
it was incredible. And it was
the
like
craziest shit I've probably ever seen.
and it was probably like close to 9 by then, right? Because now we're
yeah.
because we got to get out of there, right?
Uh-huh.
Doug's got to go home, and so we literally like, boom! I shoot this bear. The bear perfect headshot, dumps,
Hits the ground and it was done.
and we're like, okay. So we like get out of the blind. We're trying to get our shit out of the
We're
blind.
like, what do we do?
So I literally like,
Yeah.
we're in a pop up blind. I just tip the blind over, pull all our shit out. I'm like, I'm gonna go get the
I
truck.
forgot you did that. We didn't even pop. We didn't even try and get out the door. And Chris was like this, and he just picked the blind up and he just like threw it over the top of us and just stepped out.
I'm like, we gotta go, dude. We got shit to do. Like, you gotta get home, because I'm thinking like Doug's gonna go to work in the morning, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go get the truck. So it's like 200 yards down this road. I go get the truck. I pull on this. It just scrapes the.
And I don't know how the hell you made it down that road.
Oh,
it
dude.
was so tight.
There is freaking Ram blue paint all down those freaking bushes, because this thing is tight. I mean, this is a Ford Ranger road.
It
not
looked like a quad trail.
Oh, my
God.
God.
It was
dude.
a quad trail.
Yeah, my truck.
Chris had to have his mirrors folded in. And
I
he was
did.
still scraping paint on the trees.
Oh, it was terrible, dude. It was so bad.
It was so much fun.
And we pulled in and literally like snapped a couple pics and thumbs up, high five, threw our shit in the truck, noshed my tag, roll down, and we're coming down. So we throw the bear in the back, go down, and we see the guy, and he's like, oh. He's like, and he was in a different truck, and he's like, oh, yeah, I thought you guys were in a different truck. And I'm like, no, I thought you were in a different truck. And he's like, so how, too bad you didn't get one. I'm like, no, we shot one. He's like, what?
He's
like,
like,
yeah.
he's like, oh, you're full of shit. And we're like, no, yeah, we got one in the back. He's like, really?
Yeah,
He's
so
like,
we
yep.
dropped the tailgate. Look, hey, dead bear. He's like, oh, we'll bring it by tomorrow, and I'll skin it up or whatever, And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, thanks, Again, this guy's 78 years old.
Yeah.
He's probably shit for 78, but he's 78 years old. And I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks. Like, I'll bring it by in the morning for you to skin it out. Like, so we go back to the camp, dead bear in the back. It's dark now. It's dark. It's got to be at least
dark.
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
10:30. And Doug's like, hey man, like, I'm like, dude, just go. I get it. Like,
It's like 10:30.
so
Yeah.
I
A
Doug's like,
3-hour drive.
Doug's like, I'm gonna basically just get home, like lay my head on the pillow and get back up.
yeah, Doug's gonna go work at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So I throw my headlamp on, I pull my knives out, and I'm getting ready to go to work. And Doug's like, still pulls the camera out, doing great camera work, right? And he's like, so tell me about what happened. And I'm like, well, we shot a bear. I'm gonna skin it out. Doug's going home. We had a great time. We'll see you next. Okay, bye. And I zipped this bear apart. Again, I'm cutting it dorsal for Brandon over at Stuff Taxidermy, right? Because it's gonna be the third life-size bear that I'm doing in 2 weeks.
And he's going to do an epic mount, right?
Dude.
Are you going to do it?
Oh,
Are you gonna do the one that we talked about?
well, it depends on how many more bears I'm shooting and how
Yeah.
we're gonna put it in the
If
gun
you get
shop.
2 more,
Yeah.
you know, because
but you gotta put
still get
that
2
one how it died.
on the barrel and
On the
well,
barrel.
we Doug, I only got an 8,000 square foot house. Where am I gonna put it?
I do like the idea.
I
Of
got-
I like the idea
the
too.
barrel.
I need a bigger museum.
Yeah.
I just think because of the circumstances of the state and the situation that we killed that bear, I think it would be a good ode to like the old timers.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
pretty
we
good.
killed a bear over a bait in
Yeah.
Washington where it just doesn't
spring bear
happen.
after Lorna shut it down.
Yeah.
And the rest of the shitheads. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
that'd be
it was
pretty
good.
Cool.
It was really good. So
it was a blast.
so I skinned this
100%.
thing
Sounds
out.
like a good time.
Oh yeah.
Doug leaves. I go back out to the woods in the middle of the night to dump the guts because I'm trying to be respectful of this campground we're in. I don't want to get any blood or guts or anything. So I was like, I could just put it in a bag and dump it. I'm like, I'll get blood everywhere, and that'd be a dick move. So I drive like 25 minutes back out to the woods, dump the guts, drive 25 minutes back. Now it's midnight. I get back, have a whiskey, knowing I got to get up at dark 30 and just pack up and get out of here. And that's what we did. But it was long story short, like it was I didn't shoot a huge bear.
No.
I didn't see a million bears, but it was a freaking great hunt.
Yeah.
It was a super
100%.
good hunt.
It was definitely an experience that we were not expecting to ever.
And I can't.
That's pretty cool.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks to Larry. Larry did a great job. Again, look him up on the
It
socials.
was a lot of fun. We'll
Yeah.
definitely be out there again,
Yeah,
and can't wait for it
yeah.
because I know that there's gotta be a lot of big.
There's some big bears out there.
There's
Yeah.
there's gotta be some dinosaurs out there, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm looking forward. Maybe next spring.
Next spring,
Next spring.
we'll see you. See you next spring.
That sounds like a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Wrap us up, Doug.
So I guess with that, we'll just stay humble and hunt hard, guys.
See you next time.